Natalia Sergeevna Goncharova was a pioneering figure of the Russian avant-garde, whose bold fusion of folk tradition, modernist experimentation, and theatrical flair forever altered the course of 20th century art. Born in the rural town of Orekhovo-Zuyevo, just outside Moscow, she emerged from a conservative milieu to become one of the most daring painters, designers, and innovators of her generation. Over her 8-decade life, Goncharova's restless creativity propelled her from neo-primitivist canvases to radical abstractions and sumptuous stage designs, earning her international renown and a lasting legacy as a trailblazer of modern art. Natalia Goncharova was born on June 21, 1881, in Orekhovo-Zuyevo, Russia, into a well-to-do family of merchants and clergy. Her father, Sergei Nikolaevich Goncharov, managed a silk factory, and her mother, Anna Vasilyevna Goncharova, came from a background of devout Russian Orthodox belief. From her earliest years, Natalia displayed a keen sensitivity to color and pattern, evident both in the richly decorated church icons she admired in her parish and in the vibrant textiles that surrounded her childhood home. In 1901, seeking professional training, Goncharova enrolled at the prestigious Moscow School of Painting, Sculpture and Architecture. While initially drawn to sculpture under the tutelage of Paolo Trubetskoy, her artistic direction shifted dramatically after meeting fellow student Mikhail Larionov, who would become her lifelong partner. Under Trubetskoy, she absorbed classical technique, but Larionov's enthusiasm for the latest European trends inspired Goncharova to devote herself entirely to painting, where her talent for vivid coloration and bold composition could fully flourish. Goncharova's collaboration with Larionov was both romantic and artistic. By 1903, they were inseparable, sharing ideas and challenging each other's visions. Larionov introduced her to the avant-garde circles of Moscow, where Cézanne, Van Gogh, and Gauguin were hotly debated. Under his influence, Goncharova began incorporating elements of French post-Impressionism into her work, laying the groundwork for her landmark neo-primitivist phase and establishing the duo as central figures in Russia's burgeoning modernist movement. In 1909, Goncharova and Larionov co-founded the Salon Jack of Diamonds, an association that championed radical art and sought to break from academic convention. Deeply inspired by Russian peasant art, Lubki prints, icon painting, and folk motifs, Goncharova pioneered a neo-primitivist aesthetic that celebrated flat, decorative surfaces, bold outlines, and simplified forms. Works such as The Vaccination, 1910, and Harvest, 1911, exemplify her ability to fuse vernacular Russian imagery with the expressive color and dynamism of Western avant-garde painting. By 1912, Goncharova and Larionov had moved beyond neo-primitivism toward a completely abstract style they dubbed Rayonism, or Rayism. Inspired by the play of light rays and their intersections, this movement allied Russian modernism with futurist and cubist experiments in Europe. Paintings like Rayonist Composition, 1913, abandoned representational imagery in favor of crystalline shards of color and light. Though short-lived, Rayonism marked a bold contribution to the evolution of abstract art and underscored Goncharova's relentless drive for innovation. Throughout her career, Goncharova absorbed and transformed a wide array of influences. She admired the wild color of the Fauve, Henri Matisse among them, and experimented with cubist fragmentation, yet she always grounded her work in the earthy vibrancy of Russian folk art. This synthesis yielded compositions that balanced avant-garde theories with an unmistakable national character, establishing her as a uniquely Russian modernist who spoke both to local tradition and international discourse. Goncharova's talents extended beyond the canvas into theatre and ballet. In 1913, she began collaborating with Sergei Diaghilev's Ballets Russes, designing scenery and costumes for landmark productions such as Le Coq d'Or and the Golden Cockerel. Her stage designs, characterized by flat patterns, jewel-like colors, and stylized folk motifs, revolutionized theatrical aesthetics and brought avant-garde art to a wider public. This period solidified her reputation as an artist of rare versatility, able to navigate and unify multiple artistic domains. Between 1910 and 1915, Goncharova exhibited widely in Russia and Europe. Her early solo shows in Moscow provoked both admiration and outrage for their radical departure from academic norms. Critics lauded her fearless palette and bold iconoclasm, while traditionalists condemned her work as crude or irreverent. Nevertheless, major European galleries, including Berlin's Der Sturm Gallery and Paris's Galerie Durand Ruel, welcomed her contributions, positioning her at the forefront of the international avant-garde. The upheavals of World War I and the Russian Revolution compelled Goncharova and Larionov to settle permanently in Paris in 1915. There, she embraced the city's vibrant artistic milieu, forging friendships with Picasso, Braque, and Brancusi. Although financial hardships often plagued her later years, she continued painting, exhibiting, and designing book illustrations and stage sets. Paris's multicultural energy infused her post-revolution work with new perspectives, even as her signature folk-inspired motifs persisted. In the 1920s and 1930s, Goncharova's style evolved toward a more muted, expressionistic approach. She experimented with gouache and collage, and her color palette increasingly reflected the subdued atmospheres of urban life. Yet she never abandoned the decorative vitality that had defined her early career. Even in her later oil paintings, such as The Witch, 1939, one finds an interplay of modernist abstraction and folkloric narrative, testifying to a lifelong dialogue between innovation and tradition. Though often overshadowed by male contemporaries, Goncharova's contributions began to receive sustained critical re-evaluation in the decades following her death. Retrospectives, mounted by institutions such as the Tate Modern, 2007, and the Museum of Modern Art, 2019, highlighted her role as a founder of Russian modernism. Scholars have increasingly recognized her radical challenge to patriarchal art institutions and her pioneering integration of folk art into the avant-garde. Natalia Goncharova's legacy endures in the work of contemporary artists who seek to bridge cultural heritage and experimental form. Her fearless embrace of color, pattern, and abstraction prefigured later developments in 20th century art, from abstract expressionism to global folk-inspired movements. Institutions worldwide now hold her paintings, designs, and drawings, celebrating her as one of modern art's great innovators whose vision transcended geography and era. Natalia Goncharova died on October 17, 1962, in Paris, leaving behind an oeuvre of remarkable breadth, spanning painting, printmaking, costume design, and more. By marrying the vernacular traditions of her Russian homeland with the most daring ideas of European modernism, she created a body of work that remains as fresh and provocative today as it was over a century ago. In her relentless pursuit of new artistic frontiers, Goncharova not only shaped the course of Russian art, but also forged a universal language of form and color that continues to inspire generations.